You can piss and moan all you want about how PCCs are irrelevant, but the fact remains they're still in common use because pistol calibers have applications in larger formats. And if we're being honest, PCCs are the vibe of all guns, from the Tech 9 to the Uzi family. You know what I'm talking about. Plus, the veritable tidal wave of PCCs at SHOT Show 2025. I mean, this is the most awesome PCC lineup that I've seen at SHOT Show in probably a decade. PCCs are like a jack-of-all-trades, middle-maxed firearm. More concealable than a rifle, but less powerful. Bigger and heavier than a pistol, but more accurate, more modular, better terminal ballistics, and longer range, typically. This platform has real staying power no matter what YouTube commenters and AR15.com shit posters say. Number 5, PSA X57 X9. Ooh, hoo, hoo. I think this is a first in 10 years of covering SHOT Show for TFBTV. I'm not sure I've ever picked a PSA gun at all, but here we are. So take your pick, the X57 or the X9. The X57 based on PSA's Rock pistol, which I put through a 1,000 round burnout test. It had 0 failures, and let's be real, if you're putting 1,000 rounds of 5.7 through a Rock, you're basically shooting the dollar equivalent of 6 or 7 Rock pistols through a Rock pistol. So that should give you some confidence in the design, and PSA took that proven platform and built a PCC out of it. So what's the deal with the X57? Aesthetically, it looks awesome, which is half the battle for a PCC. Capacity, it's got big mags, obviously. I don't know, but when a flush fit Rock pistol holds like 23 rounds, it's probably going to be like 40 rounds in a magazine for these. It's built off a proven pistol platform, meaning it's not some random Frankengun PSA cobbled together, and it looks like it's going to be priced at under $1,000. In a world where 5.7 PCCs tend to cost a kidney and a firstborn child, pretty competitive. Some of you might take issue with the X57 being on this list because technically it was teased at SHOT Show 2024, but last year it was a concept, this year it's a reality. But if you're a stickler, and I respect that, the X9 is a better pick for number 5. What's the deal with the X9? B&T MP9 style mags means it already wins the looks department because, as we all know, straight pistol grip on a PCC is approximately 753 times cooler than an angled grip. It's going to cost a fraction of what the MP9 or the APC from B&T would, making it a budget-friendly entry into the high-speed, low-drag PDW category while having some similar features, although it's probably being made by the Wild Whites of West Virginia instead of Swiss Elves. And the X9 is going to be cheaper to shoot because 9mm, hell of a lot more affordable than 5.7. I honestly might actually buy one of these guns. That might be the second PSA I ever own, and the first one I'm buying just because I actually want it, not just for testing. If you remember, I did buy a Rock, but that was purely just to review it. I didn't even really want one all that bad. The X57 looks cool as shit. If you want the full deets, check out my boy Hop's video. He did a good job. I'm really proud of him as his dad. He went all Hoptistic on the X57 X9, so I'll let him cover the deep dive. Number 4, the controversy slot, because you don't put a badass, affordable, retro subgun at number 5, but you also don't put a gun that's been out for literally decades and is now partially made with 3D printed plastic at number 1. I was tempted to put one of Stink USA's guns here, but I'll save you the rage stroke for later. Instead, we're going to talk about the Titus firearm VZ61 Scorpion build, because Scorpion's not really forbidden fruit, but something kind of hard to find, but not that great, like dragon fruit or the papaya of PCCs. If you've ever wanted the real deal VZ61 Scorpion, you know it's a bit of a pain in the ass to get one in the US. This little Czech cordless hole punch has been around since the early 60s, designed as a compact personal defense weapon for Czech armored crews, special forces, and apparently every Eastern European warlord and 1980s action movie villain ever. It fires 32 ACP, which everyone kind of laughs at until they hear the Scorp singing and a stinging. It's tiny, ridiculously fun, hard to get in the U.S. thanks to import restrictions and the fact that genuine full auto versions are stuck in NFA hell. So what's the deal with Titus Firearms and why is it on this list? They're bringing these in legally as parts kits, but instead of trying to import factory receivers, they're using 3D printed receivers. I inspected these myself. They look pretty solid. Even Print, Shoot, Repeat, Mr. PSR himself, a man who knows his way around a polymer-based, questionably legal project, confirmed that 3D printed receivers for a Scorpion-style firearm are surprisingly durable, especially since the receiver doesn't take the full brunt of the recoil from a gentle round like .32 anyways. The big draw here is the price. They're pre-selling these for $580. This is dirt cheap. I don't even know if I could buy all the parts for a VZ61 and build it for that much, let alone get one professionally assembled. You want a pistol? They'll sell you a pistol. You want an SBR? They'll send you the wire stock. You want a dual-wield DeClob like it's 1997? For less than the price of a SIG P226 Legion, you can, my friend. 80s and 90s bros out there, I want you to text your buddy, that one guy who would always pick Odd Job for multiplayer or try to. Tell him some dude on YouTube said that he was a cheap piece of shit. But speaking of that, these Scorpions from Titus make me akimbo my clobs, if you know what I'm saying. 3, a little controversial because not only am I once again kind of picking 2 guns, but they're also not actually guns. They're chassis kits. But they might be better this way. I will explain. Sometimes you get a really awesome kit or a really awesome design, and it's just better to have the proven host gun from the firearm manufacturer inside of this chassis kit instead of deal with some third-party knockoff trying to be a full firearm but half-assing the most important operating components. Strike Industries dropped 2 serious chassis kits at SHOT Show, one for the Ruger 57 and one for the FN PS90 and P90. All of these look fantastic, but if you're going to make me pick just one, I'm going to say the PS90 chassis is the real ticket. Why? Because SBRing a PS90 into a P90, pain in the ass. The P90, 10-inch barrel, the civilian PS90, that bitch, 16-inch barrel, and it looks injuriously cringe from the factory. Can you cut it down? Yeah, but it's expensive. 2, it's a difficult swap requiring a gunsmith, and you don't want to screw up your $1,600 gun, Bubba-san, and maybe make it possibly illegal in your state. Meanwhile, Strike Industries has basically solved this problem by giving you a chassis kit that fixes the ergos, enhances modularity, and makes the PS90 look 1,000 times cooler. It's got a ton of extra features: integrated optics mounting options, QD sling points, improved controls, more aggressive aesthetic that actually makes the gun look modern instead of the 90s version of what the 2020s might have looked like. And let's talk ballistics. The 5.7x28 cartridge is weird. Optimized for short barrel, which is why the P90 performs so well with a 10-inch barrel. But if you're shooting 5.7 out of a 16-inch barrel, I'd love to see what that extra velocity will give you. Think about SS190 black tip rounds. I've personally penetrated level 3 rifle rated plates with SS190 black tip out of my P90. I can only imagine what kind of damage a steel core penetrator would do with an additional velocity boost from a longer barrel. Sorry, I blacked out on black tip for a second. The point is, this chassis makes the PS90 a more attractive option without requiring you to go through the NFA process to get a normal-looking P90. And yeah, like I said, the Ruger 5.7 chassis, pretty sick too, turns the already largest Ruger 5.7 into a tiny little PDW, and that's cool as hell. Now, I will say I've been skeptical of Strike Industries in the past. Some of their products are fantastic. Others can be kind of AliExpress-ish, but I handled these myself, and I have to say they felt pretty solid. Fit and finish were great. They felt on par with my factory P90 polymer receiver. Bottom line, if you have a PS90, you don't want to deal with the SBR hassle, or if you just want a super compact Ruger 5.7 PDW, these chassis kits, huge win. All right, we've got 2 in the stink, because Stuff and Things Inc. takes the runner-up slot with their Gepard clone. Now, I know some of you are already Googling what the hell is a Gepard, because this thing isn't exactly mainstream, but that's part of why it's awesome. There's not a lot of info out there. The Gepard PDW was an experimental Russian submachine gun developed in the 1990s, designed to be an AK-style compact PDW. It never took off, but a handful of prototypes were made, and it's one of those deep-cut, weird Russian guns that up until now only Russaboo AK nerds and neat gopniks who collect obscure PDF scans of Soviet manuals have ever heard of. So what did Stuff and Things Inc. do? They took the Charles Daly PAC-9, which is a Glock mag-fed AK from Romania that, to my knowledge, has nothing but positive reviews other than being uglier than Hickok 45's barefoot with a wig on it, and they transformed it into a decent replica of the original Gepard concept. The entire thing is finished in their fake light treatment. For those of you who aren't familiar, Stuff and Things makes a really strong Bakelite repro. The chassis faithfully replicates the original Gepard. They even color match the details, which is really cool for a project like this. Now, I give these guys a hard time mainly because they're weird and they smell like Campbell's Chunky Soup, but they're good dudes, they have a great sense of humor, and they actually bring their crazy projects to completion, which is more than what I can say for half the companies at SHOT Show. So yeah, where do I buy this bullshit? B&T resurrected the Steyr TMP, a gun that somehow survived for decades despite being a bit shitty, albeit An elegant piece of shit. The TMP was designed in 1989 as a lightweight, high-capacity machine pistol, but the problem was the execution being mid at best. Steyr killed the TMP, sold the design to Carl Brugger in 2001. B&T turned it into the TP9, which was a huge improvement. Even so, the trigger was horrific, long, mushy, and about as satisfying as squeezing a wet sponge. The rear charging handle was just okay ergonomically, and it uses a proprietary suppressor mounting system. Despite all of this, the TP9 had a cult following because it was a Swiss-made PDW with top-tier fit and finish, looked cool as hell, and it's a decent subgun. But this year, B&T took everything wrong with the TP9 and fixed it. It uses a new flat-faced adjustable titanium trigger. This isn't just better than the original, it's actually a great trigger. Side charging handles were borrowed from the APC series, no more awkward rear charging on a super compact firearm. It has a full-length optic rail with a recessed mounting area where you can slap on an aimpoint acro, giving you a perfect co-witness with the backup sights. A removable magwell funnel. If you want concealability, take it off. If you want faster reloads, keep it on. It also has much more accessory mounting real estate than the OG while looking great. I got to interview one of B&T's engineers about this thing, and the level of detail they put into this redesign is wonderful. Check that video from our coverage if you can. This gun is practical, well, at least as practical as a 9mm PCC can be. Every single annoying aspect of the old TP9 is gone. It looks cooler than 2025 Sonny Crockett. This is easily one of my favorite guns from the show. Not just this year, but maybe out of the past 5 years. Great job as usual, B&T. This year's PCC lineup, absolutely stacked. Gotta say, best SHOT Show for PCCs I've seen in a long time. I missed a whole bunch of them here. I'm sorry, but if you subscribe to TFBTV Showtime, you saw them all. Tell me what you think. Which one did I miss out on in the comments? More importantly, support us on Subscribestar. We don't take money from manufacturers, and if you want us to stay independent, we need your help. Subscribestar.com/TFBTV. We give away 6 $250 gift certificates to Top Gun Supply. That's $1,500 every single month. 4 $100 gift certificates to Blue Alpha every single month to those supporters, so you might actually get some of your money back. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.